But he's supposed to have sing
I just started.
I can't really see too much. Sing fast.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtota Shishimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtota Shishimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Goti Vaishnavrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Gangamai Munamai Ki Tosi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Samaveda Bhaktavrinda Ki Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki Go Premanande. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So Hare Krishna. I hope if anyone's watching, I hope you can hear. This is the ISKCON Dublin Sunday Love Feast coming from Wicklow, quite far from Dublin, not too far, through the not so transcendental via medium of the internet, but with hopefully at least Srila Prabhupada's purport and verses will be transcendental. So reading from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Jai.
Reading from chapter 2, text number 40. The chapter is entitled The Contents of the Gita Summarized. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So chapter 2, text number 40. Neha Bikramana Shosti.
Neha Vikramana Shoasi.
Neha Bikramana Shoasi.
Neha Vikramana Shoasi.
Pratyavayo navidyate.
Pratyavayo navidyate.
Pratyavayo navidyate.
Pratyavayo navidyate.
Swalpamapi asya dharmasya.
Swalpamapi asya dharmasya.
Swalpamapi asya dharmasya.
Swalpamapi asya dharmasya.
Trayate mahato bayat.
Trayate mahato bayat.
Trayate mahato bayat.
Trayate mahato bayat.
I'll read the translation. And this is a nice verse. It's, in this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So please repeat. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution,
There is no loss or diminution,
and a little advancement on this path
and a little advancement on this path
can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear.
can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear.
So Srila Prabhupada's purport. Activity in Krishna consciousness or acting for the benefit of Krishna without expectation of sense gratification is the highest transcendental quality of work. Even a small beginning of such activity finds no impediment, nor can that small beginning be lost at any stage. Any work begun in the material plane has to be completed, otherwise the whole attempt becomes a failure. But any work begun in Krishna consciousness has a permanent effect, even though not finished. The performer of such work is therefore not at a loss, even if his work in Krishna consciousness is incomplete. 1% done in Krishna consciousness bears permanent results, so that the next beginning is from the point of 2%, whereas in material activity, without 100% success, there is no profit. Ajamil performed his duty in some percentage of Krishna consciousness, but the result he enjoyed at the end was 100% by the grace of the Lord. There is a nice verse in this connection in the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.17. Tyaktva swadharma charanam bhujam hare bhajam apakyo tapate tato yadi yatra kwat vadadram abud amusyakim kovarta apto bhajatam swadharmataha. If someone gives up his occupational duties and works in Krishna consciousness and then falls down on account of not completing his work, what loss is there on his part? And what can one gain if one performs his material activities perfectly? Or as the Christians say, what profiteth a man if he gains the whole world, yet suffers the loss of his eternal soul? Material activities and their results end with the body, but work in Krishna consciousness carries a person again to Krishna consciousness, even after the loss of the body. At least one is sure to have a chance in the next life of being born again as a human being, either in the family of great cultured Brahmana or in a rich aristocratic family. That will give one a further chance for elevation. That is the new unique quality of work done in Krishna consciousness. I'll read the verse. Neha bikramana shosti pratyavayo navidyate swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. So in this endeavor there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So Hare Krishna, it's a little difficult to give a Sunday class through the internet because I can't see the people who are here. So I'm assuming that if people are taking the trouble to live stream in, it means they have some knowledge of Krishna consciousness. They have some understanding of the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. So I will try and speak a little bit from there. But Prabhupada, this is a verse. We were reading the Bhagavad Gita, and Manu Prabhu, while we were reading it, mentioned how this is a very nice verse for devotees because it gives this feeling of encouragement. It's a very encouraging verse that there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So we can see now in the world at the moment, there is a lot of fear actually at the moment due to viruses and economic strife, and people are fearful. In some parts of the world, unfortunately, people are very fearful, even to feed themselves or feed their families. There's a terrible amount of fear in this world, and Srila Prabhupada's guru Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj said the only thing that is lacking in this world is Krishna consciousness. It's actually the only thing that is lacking in this world. So that can be a little bit difficult to understand, and may even sound a little bit narrow-minded perhaps to some people if they are not familiar with what the philosophy of Krishna consciousness is teaching. But it's actually a very beautiful understanding, because this path of Krishna consciousness has been handed down from Krishna to Lord Brahma, and then from Lord Brahma to Narada Muni, and from Narada Muni through this disciplic succession, through the ages. It has been handed down, and it is described like a ripe fruit, this fruit of knowledge, and this process of Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada says at the beginning of the purport, activity in Krishna consciousness, or acting for the benefit of Krishna without expectation of sense gratification, is the highest transcendental quality of work. So acting without expectation of sense gratification is almost unheard of in this world. It's almost unheard of, because when we act in this world, we think we are acting for some sort of reward, or we have some expectation of the result of our work being giving us some sort of benefit. So to act for another person that we don't even remember, practically, we don't remember Krishna. We're in this material world because we've forgotten our relationship with Krishna. And I think everyone who's listening to this understands what I mean when I say Krishna. But since this is a Sunday feast, I will explain a little bit that Krishna in Sanskrit means all attractive. Krishna, all attractive. So Krishi actually is in Sanskrit is the word used for farming, funny enough. So it's a bit like tractor, traction. So Krishna is all attractive person. So this is a name of God. This is the name of God. We consider this the highest name of God, and actually even the word God is not a very high name, because God means the controller, and whereas Krishna means the all attractive person. So if we think about the qualities that we have in sort of tiny quantity, and God or Krishna has in unlimited quantity, we can think of beauty. So if someone is very beautiful, they're very attractive. If someone is wealthy, famous, renounced, strong, all these qualities. So sometimes in the Christian faith we say almighty. So if someone is strong and they're almighty, then then that is attractive. If someone is very strong, it is attractive. I'm thinking of the governor of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Somehow he became a little attractive because he became strong by lifting things up and putting them down, and lifting them up and putting them down. But so somehow he became attractive. But Krishna is not like that. His strength is unlimited. His beauty is unlimited. His fame is unlimited. His wealth is unlimited. Everything about him. So when we think of a person in this world, we always think of everything being. We always think of the person being flawed or somehow limited. Somehow, we can have friendships with people, but there's always some limit. Whereas Krishna is that person who is unlimitedly attractive. So we say Krishna. That's why we use the word Krishna. We don't see this as being sectarian or anything else. It's just it is the highest name. You can say another name. Actually, the names of Krishna are unlimited. So as long as they are bona fide, as long as they were. So if it's Jehovah or Allah or any name that you want that is genuine, refers to the supreme. What we say is the supreme personality of Godhead. So the process of service is natural, actually. The process of serving is completely natural. We are all servants, and we've come into this world because we want to be masters. But if we just study a little bit of the nature of our nature and the nature of this world, we can see that we are servants. We're servants. And this is our nature, is to be a servant. Our dharma, as Prabhupada often uses the word dharma, Prabhupada sometimes says that the dharma of salt is to be pungent and the dharma of sugar is to be sweet. And the dharma of the living entity is to be a servant. So somehow, due to entering into this world, we have reversed our understanding of the material nature, and we are trying to lord it over the material nature. We are trying to become masters in this world, and so we go to university, we do so many things, so many endeavors that we make, so many activities that we do are all to become masters. So we are trying to master material energy, and when we study material energy, we can see Prabhupada calls this world the world of duality. So this is a world of duality. So where there is light, there is darkness. To understand light, we must understand darkness. To understand master, we must understand serve. Everything is dual here in this world. So it's actually a dark place. This energy, this material energy, this dual world is not a very, very nice place to be, actually. And if we think it is a nice place to be, it means somehow we have become under the spell of this energy. We've become captivated by the spell of this energy because we think that it is actually a nice place to be, where it isn't really. We can see that. I mean, it's not a nice analogy, but it's a good analogy, that this world is like a prison for the living entity. So somehow we want to become the Lord, we want to become the master. So can you imagine even in Ireland, say for example, somebody decided they were the king of this world, they were in charge, they were in the boss, they would get into trouble, if they felt like everything that was in this world was theirs, and it belonged to them. They were the master, they were the lord of all they surveyed, they were the owner of everything that was here. They could take everything that was not belonging to them because they felt like everything should belong to them or does belong to them. So they would also get into trouble and get into prison, or probably a mental asylum. But anyway, there would be some sort of punishment for that sort of mentality. So that is our mentality in this world. We do feel that we have ownership over things. We feel that we are the owners of material energy. And for some time we can own things for a short period of time. But in time that gets taken away from us by time. And actually we come into this world with nothing. We come in naked and we go out with nothing. We don't take anything with us. So we don't even take our bodies with us, which we've been sort of carrying around and looking after for so many years. We don't take those with us even. We take nothing with us. So to really own something means you keep it. If you borrow something, that's not the same as owning it. So for us in this world, we do not own anything really. And so we are fooled. So the prison that's in this world has bars, and you can hold onto the bars and you can try and pull them out and pull them apart, and generally you won't be able to, because if it's a good prison, you won't be able to get out. You'll be trapped in this prison. So when Krishna makes a prison, he's very, very clever. He doesn't put bars up, although now actually it feels a bit like we're all put in prison. But Krishna's prison is much, much clever. So what he does is he creates form. And in the duality of this world, that form attracts us to be here. And it keeps us here. Even if somebody tries to come and explain to us why we shouldn't be here and why we don't belong here and why we should get out of here, Krishna is so clever that the form that he makes, the forms in this world just make us go, well, I think I'll stay. It's actually pretty good. And there's a story, I think it was Indra who was cursed to be a pig, it was not right. And he had a family, he had a pig family, and he was very happy as a pig. I won't say the rest, but he was very happy in this world with his pig family and everything else. And then the heavenly planets got disturbed by his absence. So was it Brahma? Yeah, came to take him back and explain, no, this isn't your family. This isn't where you belong. You belong in, you're the king of heaven. And so Indra was, no, I'm very happy. So Brahma had to force him out of that situation. So similarly, we become happy in this world because of form. We become attracted. So in the duality, the male generally is attracted to the female is attracted to the male. And that form, that attraction is like the prison walls in this world, that attraction to sex of this world, and is what keeps us here, life after life. So it's a very, very clever prison. And when you think about it, Prabhupada often calls this attraction skin disease, this skin disease. So we were talking the other day how the skin is just millimeter, just so thin layer on the covering the material body. But it's that covering that is attractive. So what we are attracted to is not very substantial. It's very shallow. Somehow you could say we're attracted to something very, very shallow, which is the skin covering. And if you thought about it for a minute, you could make a very good sort of horror movie. If somebody woke up in a world where there was no skin, they suddenly couldn't see any skin on anyone, and it would be like the blood and guts and bones, and it would just be like some sort of horror movie, you know. But factually, that is the world that we are attracted to. That is the world that we are trying to take shelter. So the material, the nature of the living entity is to be ashraya. It means that we want to take shelter. We need to take shelter. We cannot really give shelter, so we take shelter. But we're taking shelter of an energy that is shifting all the time. It's chanchala, it's shifting energy. And so our shelter underneath us is shifting. And it shifts very fast. We can see even now with this current situation, a few months ago, we couldn't have dreamed that this situation would arise from whatever it came from, the stupidity of people. But we wouldn't imagine that the situation would shift so dramatically. So Prabhupada is explaining, actually Prabhupada gave a lecture on this verse in London, I think in 1973, and he was describing, I think he described it as like a famous story of, and this is how a person can act in Krishna consciousness. By doing a small bit of action on this path, they can be saved from the most dangerous type of fear. So I'll just say, if I don't know if I've expressed what the most dangerous type of fear is, but if anyone really understands the nature of this world, nobody gets out of it alive. No one gets out of it alive. One of the only real sort of inklings of what spiritual, of absolute truth in this world is the fact that we all die. Where it's 100% guaranteed, 10%, as Prabhupada sometimes says, guaranteed that we will die in this world. And then Krishna says when we die, we're sure to take birth again. So this repetition of birth and death from, as Prabhupada explains, time immemorial, from beyond our memory, beyond everyone's memory, beyond even Lord Brahma's memory, this repeated birth and death that takes place within this world. We may have even been Lord Brahma at some point. We may have been Indra at some point. We may have been a worm. We most likely have. We've been. There are 8,400,000 different species of life, and we have been through these species countless times. And getting a human birth, in comparison to that, is exceptionally rare. Exceptionally. There are more, if whatever room we are all in, you can guarantee there are more living entities in that room than there are human beings on the planet. So if we think of how rare the human form of life is, then we can begin to understand. And if we think of Lord Krishna as appearing in this world as so rare, and if those who understand the Kala, or the understanding of Vedic time, can understand that we go through 4 seasons. We have the summer, the Satya Yuga, the Treta Yuga, the Dwapara Yuga, and like the winter, the Kali Yuga, and there's 1,000 cycles of these 4 seasons in every day of Lord Brahma. There's 1,000 cycles of those. So when we think of the length of time and the amount of suffering of repeated birth, old age, disease, death that goes on over and over and over and over again, this is the fear. This is the fear that we are all looking to be saved from. We are all looking, wherever we look, it doesn't matter. We may look to science, We may look to religion, we may look to our family, we may look, wherever we look, we're all trying to overcome this fear of repeated birth and death in this material world. So when Krishna comes, he only comes once every day of Lord Brahma. So the biggest fear for anyone who understands Vaishnava philosophy, really understands this philosophy, the biggest fear is to miss the opportunity of taking shelter at the lotus feet of the Panchatattva, of the Vaishnavas, of the Acharyas. The fear of missing the opportunity to take shelter is the greatest fear. It is the greatest fear. And it from a spiritual, from our real position, our spiritual position, this is the greatest fear. So that is why Krishna is explaining, that all the activity that we do within the prison of this material energy, that unless we are 100% successful, and even if we are 100% successful, that success is only temporary. So even if we become the king of Microsoft or whatever it is, and we become the richest person in the world, and we gain a massive amount of wealth, even all our endeavors to try and stay in this world and try and keep ourselves healthy in this world, and everything we do will all amount to nothing. It all amounts to nothing. Absolutely nothing. And in fact, there's a story of when Narada Muni met a king. He was talking to a king, and he was saying that the four different people, there was the king's son who was the prince. He was saying you should live forever, because the prince was quite sinful person, and so Narada Muni gave him the blessing that he should live forever. Obviously, he can't live forever, but he should live forever. And the reason was because if he dies, he has got a very unfortunate experience ahead of him, which he should not like to experience. And then he said to a Brahmin, you should die now, because he was practicing puja, and he was at a sort of a point where he would achieve probably the highest success that he could achieve in this world. And he said to a butcher, you should not live and you should not die. And then to a Vaishnava he said, you can live and die, it makes no difference. So this is the real practice. This is what Prabhupada calls activity in Krishna consciousness, or acting for the benefit of Krishna without expectation of sense gratification. That is what we're talking. That is what Prabhupada is referring to in this little process on this path. That is the path. It's and Prabhupada, he does explain things. He gives a very he explains things always from different angles of vision. So he gives an explanation in 1973 in London when he was talking on this verse in the Bhagavad Gita. He explained an old story of a rat that came into a temple. So the ghee lamp on the altar it needed to be pushed. The wick had to be pushed to keep the lamp burning for the deities. And when the rat saw this, he thought it was something to eat, and he nibbled at it. And by his nibbling, he pushed the wick, and it continued to light. So he actually did some service. And from that he gained salvation, Prabhupada explains. So this is not what we want. Our aim as devotees, if anyone understands the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, our desire, or not our desire, I shouldn't say, the desire of the Vaishnav is not to gain salvation, it's to gain seva, to gain service. So Lord Chaitanya says, birth after birth, I am the servant of the servant of the servant, birth after birth, no interest in salvation, no interest in serving Krishna, whether it's in hell or heaven. For a Vaishnava, it doesn't make a difference. So our aim should be to get to that platform. That should be that's our greatest opportunity in this world, is to get to that platform. And and that is the path that Prabhupada, that Krishna is speaking about. That is the path, that path of bhakti yoga, of devotional service to Krishna. So our nature is to serve, but because we are serving the finite, we are repeatedly frustrated. So if we can learn to serve the infinite personality, the infinite person, and the servants of that infinite personality, it's even better if we can serve the servant, or the servant's servant, or the servant's servant's servant. So the further back we go, the better. So if we wanted to serve Srila Prabhupada, then we serve his servants. If we find a servant of Srila Prabhupada that we feel attracted to serve, then we serve his servants. That in that way we're always more fortunate the more we can serve the servant. So this process, Krishna says that one must seek out a spiritual master, or one who is a tattvavit, one who can see the truth, one who can see the absolute truth. And by that process, we can learn how to connect to the spiritual world, how we can connect to the spiritual energy. And with that connection, we can re-establish our Krishna consciousness, reawaken our Krishna consciousness. I'm just looking at the time here. I actually forgot to ask how long this class, if anyone is listening and they know how long the class is to go on for, please let me know. I think it's an hour, yeah. So and also if anyone has questions, please do send them over so I can try to answer them. So in this Bhagavatam verse, Srila Prabhupada gives from 1.5.17. Actually, it's interesting because I'm not going to get into anything about the editing of Srila Prabhupada's books or anything, because I'm not qualified to do that. But in Prabhupada's version of the Bhagavad Gita, he translated this swadharma, this occupational duties. He actually translated it as if someone gives up his self-gratificatory pursuits. So the technical word is swadharma, the occupational duties, but Prabhupada translated it beautifully as the self-gratificatory pursuits. So that's the thing. This dharma, this varnashram dharma that Krishna gave to this world as a way that people can live within this world in peace, means we have certain dharmas and varnas. So varna means different phases in our life. So we may be a student, we may be someone who lives in a house as a householder, we may be a retired stage, and we may be a sannyas. So these four stages and these four natures, we may have the nature like of a Sudra, we may have a nature of a Vaishya, a Kshatriya, or a Brahmana. So these four natures, we may be like a scientist or teacher or like a Brahmana or a doctor nature, or we may have the nature of a Kshatriya, like a king or a prince, or a Vaishya, like a business person, or like a farmer, or we may have a Sudra nature, which is to help others, to work for others. And we may be in all those stages. So there's this arrangement of the. But basically they're all mundane. They're all basically what we are acting according to our nature, so we can achieve something. So that we can achieve. So even if we're acting as a Brahmana in this world, it's usually because we want to there's usually some effort to reach the higher stage or higher place within this material world, or to gain some sort of usually something more subtle, but it's still. So Prabhupada explains it when he says what we have to give up. It's our self-gratificatory pursuits. So, and which actually the literal translation is the occupational duties, or the swadharma, or dharma. So Krishna says sarva dharma prityaja mame kam saranamraja aham tvam sarva papavyo mokshasyami masujaha. So abandon all this, abandon these dharmas. So Krishna says it, and if we can do that, but unfortunately we can't do that. So it's so difficult for us to give up these things. So Krishna came again as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to show us how it is done, and actually he made it very, very easy for us to do that by giving us this process of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So so Lord Chaitanya came to propagate this chanting, where when Krishna came, he said, abandon religion and surrender unto me. And for us, we cannot surrender because we have particularly big egos in this age. So it's very difficult for us to surrender to any authority or anyone. So Lord Chaitanya came to give us a process by which we can connect to Krishna through the chanting, through his chanting. And so it's very important that we understand what it is we are trying to connect to, that we are trying to connect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because this world is full of impersonalism. It's full, especially in the Western world as well, it's full of impersonalism, it's full of Mayavad philosophy, it's full of voidism. All these things that are totally unattractive to the soul. They're unattractive. If you think about this world being a prison, that it is binding us up here for many years, then the Mayavadi philosophy is like the solitary confinement of this world. So it appears to be somehow similar to Vaishnava philosophy, because the goal of the Mayavad philosophy and the goal of Vaishnava philosophy is to achieve the absolute truth. But the thing about the absolute truth is it's attractive because of variety. It is attractive because of its variegatedness. So when we read and we start to hear about Krishna, or we sing about Krishna, or we everything to do with Krishna is ultimate variety, and that's what makes it attractive. That is why it is attractive. So when we see Krishna plays with the cowherd boys, or he's with his mother, or he dances with the gopis, or he goes to the battle of Kurukshetra, or he's dealing with his different devotees in different personal ways, and he appears in different forms according to the mood that he's in. You know, in real anger, he appears as Lord Nrsingadev because he's angry. He appears as Lord Buddha. He appears as Lord Ramchandra. So all these different activities, they all have so much variety, and it is that variety that is attractive. So when we say Srila Prabhupada's pranam mantra, we say Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajakacharya. Oh no, sorry. I've got a bit nervous here. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pishtaya Bahutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Desatarane. So Paschata, in the Western world, we say Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. So this Shunyavadi means this voidness. There's nothingness. So There's so many people who have philosophy that in this world, like the absolute truth is nothing. You know, it's nothing. It's like this. So why would you want to go there if it's nothing? And the only reason you'd want to go there is because this world is so horrible, you feel that you'd rather have nothing than this world. So it's not attractive. It's not attractive. The other, Sunyavadi. Vadi means this variety, and Sunyavadi means no variety. There's no variety. So, you know, this philosophy is so prevalent in the world, where everything, there's no variety. Everything is just one. It's no variety, and that's like the solitary confinement. It would be, imagine being put into a room where there was no variety. Not even, you mean it was all white or something? You know, it's really unattractive. But yet, people like this, they'd go for this philosophy. People actually teach this philosophy. I mean, okay, we all probably come through this philosophy, so to be a student of this philosophy is understandable. But to teach it, I mean, that's why Prabhupada would get so angry, and his guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he would get so angry at these people because they're cheaters, he'd say. How can you teach something? You don't realize it, you can't realize. Nature abhors a void, you know, there's variety. Everywhere we see variety. Everywhere we see variety. And in the spiritual world, we have perfect variety. In the material world, we have the reflection. So the highest in the spiritual becomes the lowest in the material, you know. And so to say that the opposite, as some do, Krishna says, Mame come, unto me. You surrender unto me. And they say, well, it's not really Krishna you surrender to. It's the impersonal absolute energy that exists somehow above Krishna or something. Krishna is Maya. And this is something that's crazy. Like, or the other one, that we are all Krishna. We are Krishna. Like, how is that possible? How can Krishna become covered by the material energy? He says that Devi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya, my energy, my energy. It's his energy. It's not our energy. We're in this energy, but it's his energy. So how can he be covered by his energy? It just makes no sense. So anyway, what we are very fortunate is that Srila Prabhupada came and gave this philosophy to us, perfectly handed down from teacher to disciple to disciple to disciple, all the way right down to Srila Prabhupada, who has generously given it to us in so many books that he translated, so many talks that he gave, and so many wonderful, wonderful, wonderful devotees that he trained, you know, that Prabhupada has given to the world. So actually, if we are in this world at this time now, Prabhupada is closer to us now even than when he was physically present in many ways, I mean, I was just looking at this, these devotees from the Bhaktivedanta Library Services in Belgium. They've done this Vanipedia. If anyone hasn't seen Vanipedia, it's incredible. Like this, everything is together. You can listen to Prabhupada while you can see the lectures. There's all these different ways that Prabhupada has become present to us. Whatever work they've done, it's been a great, wonderful present. So, are there any comments or questions? Can you see it?
No comments. I mean, no questions or comments either.
So, just to read the verse from the Bhagavatam, if someone gives up his occupational duties and works in Krishna consciousness and then falls down on account of not completing his work, what loss is there on his part? And what can one gain if one performs his material activities perfectly? Or as the Christians say, what profiteth man if he gains the whole world yet suffers the loss of his eternal soul? So it's a very childish situation that we often find ourselves in this world, where we think that we own this world, or we can control this energy, and our ability to control it, our ability to manipulate it, it just creates more and more mess, you know, more and more mess. I mean, all facility is given in this world. It's given to us. The facility is there to eat. The facility is for sleeping, for mating, for defending. All these facilities are here in this world, yet we want to somehow amplify them. You know, we want to take ignorance and make it into super ignorance, you know. So Prabhupada many times gave the example of cars, you know. So now that with a car we can go from one place to another very, very fast. You know, we can go super fast from one place and we can have an accident on the way. But now we see in big cities, I mean even more than when Srila Prabhupada was physically present here, we can see that in big cities people just get in their cars and they go very slow. You could go faster on a bicycle, you know. Now with this lockdown it's not the same, but in general, you know, this so-called advancement is just it's a joke. It's a joke. It's a misdirection. It's a misdirection. And now where, you know, instead of just saying, well, look, as Prabhupada said, we should, you know, Prabhupada spoke strongly against slaughterhouses. He spoke very strongly. Like, even if people argued, I mean, Lord Jesus Christ said, thou shalt not kill, and yet they kill so many times. But even if you argue that, well, Jesus sometime ate meat or something like that, even if that was true, he didn't maintain slaughterhouses where he killed millions and millions of animals, and he didn't keep them in such disgusting conditions that they spread disease all over the world, you know. So all of these different activities, and now they want to, you know, now they say, okay, well, to protect us from that, we have to inject you with something, you know. This is crazy. This is crazy. I mean, this is just all we need in this world is to understand its function. What is the function of this world? The function of this world, you know, in the Shri Upanishad, it's described, Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udashyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purna Eva Vishishite. This world, the Supreme Lord is perfect and complete, and because he is completely perfect, all emanations that come from him are complete and perfect, including in this world, which is perfectly equipped as a complete whole. So for anybody who lived in this world, they would say, how the hell is this complete? This is, they see things missing all the time because they think this world is meant for them to enjoy. And because it's for their enjoyment, they think that it needs to be adjusted so that they can enjoy it. But it's not. It's not meant to be. This world is perfectly designed to awaken our memory of our real situation. What is our real situation? That is explained by the acharyas. That is handed down to explain what our real situation is. Our real situation is we are Satchit Ananda Vigraha. Our form, Vigraha, is full of knowledge, eternal, blissful. And that is our nature. Not this Nirananda, not this misery, not this Achit, this temporary situation, this, Achit, this ignorant situation, and Asat, this temporary situation. That's what we are in at the moment. We are in an energy, we are a permanent. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor in the future, nor you, nor these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. You know, this is so our nature is to be permanent, but we are in temporary situation. And we think this is a good situation. We think this is a good situation to be in. So you should see, like materialists, I mean, I work sometimes a lot with materialists, and you know, the idea, the understanding is this place is meant for our enjoyment, you know, and they have great faith that science is going to make it enjoyable. They have great faith that science is somehow, it's like a post-dated check, you know, at some point science is going to figure out that, you know, how we're going to live forever. But it hasn't done it yet. we die, you know. And Prabhupada used to he gives a very funny story of a judge. He was there in a court case. Actually, there is a court case that Prabhupada had to go to, and somebody was accused of murder, and Prabhupada happened to be in the court. He wasn't accused of anything like that, but he happened to be in the court when someone was being accused. And there was an English lawyer, and in those days in India, to have an English lawyer was a very high thing, you know. And so this doctor, his wife had been had an affair with a servant or something, and so the doctor drugged the servant and chopped him up, killed him, and he was found guilty in court of murder and to be hanged. He had to be hanged. And Prabhupada described afterwards how his English lawyer was saying to him, don't worry, we will get you off by appeal. And Prabhupada thought this was really funny. Now you hang, now you die, but we will get you off by appeal. So similarly, the scientists are saying, we shall somehow overcome disease. But there's more disease. We'll overcome death. Death is 100% guaranteed. They haven't done anything to change it. So this is cheating. It's cheating. So everything is maybe this, maybe this, maybe this. What we have been so fortunate to somehow be given is knowledge that is not speculation. It's not maybe this. It's not, because it's descending knowledge. It's not ascending, it's descending, it's coming down. And it's coming down through a line of people who became free or were free from these defects of cheating. So this is knowledge that is beyond cheating. And so we, as fortunate, as Lord Chaitanya says, unfortunate as I am, I have no taste for chanting. So similarly, we find ourselves being kicked around in this world. We are coming with so much baggage and so much history. So somehow, if we get some opportunity to do some tiny bit of devotional service, like the rat pushing the ghee lamp, if there's something that we can do for the devotees, and somehow pray that we can take shelter, that we can somehow get shelter, eventually get shelter. And if we find ourselves where we're able to practice Krishna consciousness, we should see that as being mercy. That is real mercy, because what we're being asked to do is practically, if you ask anyone in this world, it's practically impossible for anyone not just to give up intoxication, meat eating, gambling, sex, not just to give those things up, but also for our consciousness not to be absorbed in ourselves. So if we seriously examine our position, seriously examine our consciousness, we can see that we have a long way to go. But we're so fortunate to have the opportunity of following and learning about the personalities who've gone before us. And as Prabhupada says, when they go, they leave the boat back on this side. So they've left the boat for us. So if there's no comments or no questions, I will end here. I'll just read the translation. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous types of fear. So the biggest fear actually for a Vaishnava is not whether they can get salvation or get liberation or moksha. The biggest fear is missing out on this opportunity to join in the Sankirtan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when we see on the altar, I don't think many people are in the temple now in Dublin, but when we see on the altar the Panchatattva dancing in ecstasy, we wish somehow to join in that dancing. And and there's only one way we can do that, and that is together. Somehow we have to do that together, because that's what Sankirtan is. It's congregational chanting. So we are fortunate to have come across the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So this society is important. So therefore, from a point of view of society, then Varnashram becomes very important. Not on its own. On its own, you can call it occupational duties. You can call it, as Prabhupada says, sense gratificatory pursuits. So we are not interested in that Varnashram. We are interested in Sanatan Dharma, and to achieve for the goal of Sanatan Dharma, then we are interested in Varnashram. Then it becomes important. So anyway, I will stop there. There was no questions or anything else? Okay, thank you very much, Jai Srila Prabhupada, Jai Panchatattva, and Hare Krishna. Thank you.